I think when you have a bunch of people, you can pause them.
You can manage them. So we're recording. I think we're recording. It says we're recording. So Jamie, what's up, girl?
What's up?
Did you do that painting in the back, by the way?
I did not actually. Tony made that for me and gave it to me for my birthday last year.
It's super cool.
It glows in the dark.
Really?
Yeah, it has fluorescent paint in it. It glows in the dark.
It's pretty badass. I'm going to have to figure out how to do something like that. I've got a cool painting in my garage and my buddy's flying down to deliver, but we'll talk about paintings here in a second. So I want you to talk about your business. So I want you to tell everybody about not only what you do, your business, and how you're kicking ass, how you're helping entrepreneurs, business owners everywhere, stay organized, stay structured, but then like you're freaking kicking ass in coaching. Tell me.
Okay. So everybody thinks that they can't do, like, people come to me and they think they can't do everything that they want to do. They have all these ideas. And so they kind of just shut them to the side and only focus on one spot of their life. And so people come to me usually originally, I need system, I need a structure, I have no time, like I don't know what to do. And so we work through that with them on a business professional side of things, whether it's me actually hands-on in the business, which I don't do a ton of anymore. I did before you and I worked together, but I don't do a ton of anymore, just more consulting on like how to create those systems for them. But then it always comes back to personal stuff. And there's a lot of mindset shifts, and there's a lot of what people aren't looking at a certain way, perspective shifts and ways of going through that. That's where the big change is happening. So yes, it's consulting and helping get shit done and do the structure and all of that. But there's a big portion of it that also is, we have to reframe the way we're looking at things, because there's this busy run around all the time. I think I'm getting stuff done way of looking at it. And then you're just not getting anything done and they wind up in the same spot. So I'm helping people stop running in circles and actually start going in the direction that they want to go in. And it's amazing. And it just keeps expanding, and seeing people really have those like, holy shit, this is possible moments is really, really cool.
That's cool. Cause like, I remember, I mean, when you and I worked together, you and I had known each other prior to us working together. You were in that kind of that same spot where you were like, I'm doing this, but I want to be doing this. And I have the ability to do both. But I want to expand on like what I'm really super passionate about. So you decided how many coaches had you worked with prior to working with me?
I think it was 3. Yep, 3.
3. I know you had a business coach. Tell me about your other coaches.
So the business coach when I first started out, and then I don't know what you really call her. I hired another woman, and she really helped me with a lot of mindset work. There were 2 that worked with me with mindset. One was mindset and business, and the other one was just really mindset based, getting over blocks and stuff like that. So those were the 3 women I worked with before.
So what's cool is you have, I think a lot of people, the first hurdle they have to get over is like acknowledging that like I need a coach. Like I got to work with somebody. That was my big thing. It was like, I could do this. I'm an alpha male. I'll find it. I'll just grind it out, you know? And so I know in you and I talking, you had other people that you were working with. You were not struggling. I mean, your business was good. You were doing really, really well. And I'm finding more and more people really aren't struggling per se. It's that clarity. It's that mental, like, shit, I've done what I wanted to do, and maybe I've hit a plateau and like, I want to go to the next level. But tell me, like, what made you decide to engage with me, work with me? Because I mean, you and I we're in different realms. I mean, different personalities in a lot of ways. And what I want to share with people is kind of like why it was that you chose to invest your time and your money and work with me.
So that's an awesome question.
I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
That's a good one. So it was one of those, like, first of all, I'm super stubborn by nature. And so I knew that, and just from interacting with you and, you know, in the den and doing other things like that, like, you're not going to bullshit me. And that's what I need. I need somebody to break that shit down, tell me, hey, this is the real problem, ask the actual tough questions and just get straight to the point. And that was the point I was at. So I wasn't struggling, but I wasn't happy necessarily with where it was going, and I felt stuck. Like, I felt like, okay, here we are. So I want to go over here, but I don't know how. And it was scary. I will be honest, like, I was scared to go over here. And I didn't really necessarily know the best way to make that shift. And nor did I even admit that I was scared to go over there. That was the other thing. So I just had this feeling where I needed somebody that was intuitive, and I get that vibe from you. Like, you're not going to read something to me out of a book or out of a structured, situation that I'm supposed to follow. It's what I needed, and I knew that. And so I remember so much. I was like, all right, Sean, I'm ready. Can we do this? And you were like, okay, are you really ready? I'm like, I'm really ready. I need a kick in the ass. I need to rip this stuff open. And that's why, because I knew that we would literally sit there until 3:00 in the morning if we had to get to the bottom of the problem.
Well, and that's something that I really enjoy about coaching. And this, and watching your journey and your exploration. And, for people that are watching this or listening saying, well, I'm not struggling, I'm not here, but I do want to level up. I do want to go somewhere else. There's two types of coaches, in my opinion. There's the high fives and the ass pats. They're like, good job. I had a shitty fucking week. Oh, it's okay. Keep going. Like, I'm the guy where I'm like, no, dude, like, what the fuck did you do wrong? Like, what did you not do? Did you follow the system? Because I remember very specifically, like, you wanting to make that transition to, like, this is what I want to be doing full time. I want to basically, like, leave everything here. And really the process that we went through working together, like, for our, one-on-one coaching, was creating the map and building that map. So talk about that for a second, because you have that, I'm here and I want to go here, or I'm here and I want to go here, or I want to shift or move or pivot or whatever you want to call it. It's really easy for people to be like, I'm just going to go do it. Okay, well, how? Fuck, I don't know. And that's where the stress, that's where, like, that ambiguity comes in. So what I try and do when working with you and with everybody else is, like, understanding, like, okay, where are you? Really, where are you at? Because most people are totally full of shit where they really are. Where do you want to go? And some people are like, I don't really know. Okay, cool. That's a good answer. And I like to peel back some more layers and figure that out. But how was that, like, creating the map for you? Like, what did that change for you in not only just your business, but in kind of the psychology that you were operating from and having a map now to like move forward with?
So there was a huge shift. There were two that pop up for me. The one was I was overcomplicating the shit out of everything.
Which is what most people do.
Right.
Especially entrepreneurs or business owners or anybody. We're like, we have to have the most complex system, and there's no way it can be simple. It has to be fucking hard. And it's like, no, dude, that's, like, stupid.
Yeah. So by breaking it down in a map and looking at it that way, it made it more clear where I really wanted to go. And the actual reason why, because it wasn't that, because I could make more money doing what I was doing, managing businesses, but what I wanted and what I was, like, choking on was I wanted the freedom. And that's what I was wanting, and I didn't know how to go that way. And I overcomplicated it. So by looking at it and saying, okay, breaking down the real reason why I wanted to shift was because I wanted the freedom, and that was okay to want that. And then let's break down, like, a simple way. I remember literally we used, I think, only even one sheet on that big whiteboard.
Yeah.
And it was, like, just simple. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
It's so funny because, like, we do that. Like, I had a client here yesterday. I was working with him, and going into it, I'm like, dude, it's the 1 degree. Like, everybody's trying to we talk about eating the elephant. People have heard me talk about eating the whole elephant. Everybody's like, fuck, how do I eat the whole elephant? And then they're trying to figure it out next week and then the following week. And 6 months from now, they're still trying to eat the elephant. I'm like, cool, I'm done. Where's my next elephant? Because, like, you take these little bites and little shifts. But I think a lot of people think that there has to be this huge radical shift. And really what you just said, I mean, we had the whiteboard here at the house and the office and the whole thing. Like, it's really simple. It's like getting clear and then creating a really simple map. And I share this with people all the time. They talk about, like, vision boards and I got the Lamborghini on my vision board that I'm going to buy next year. And I'll ask people, how are you going to buy it? I'm going to just grind. I'm going to hustle. I'm like, cool. What does that mean? Like, dude, I'm going to work so hard. I'm like, you're already working, like, 18-hour days, bro. Like, but you're going to work 20-hour days? Is that going to, like, equate to it? And really what successful people do is they'll say, okay, the Lamborghini's $300,000. I want to buy it in 6 months. So I have 2 quarters to do that. I need to make this much per quarter, this much per month, this much per week, which means I need to make this much per day. Now, instead of looking at $300,000, you're like, oh shit, I only have to make whatever the number is, $312.97 a day. I can do that. And then next thing you know, that's the guy driving a Lamborghini. And so that's been fun, like to watch you just simplifying shit, like the coffee thoughts and what you're doing and the daily repetition and people getting used to that, right? Like I'm like post every day. Wow. And it seems so complex, but when you do it, then there's this result. Now you have this tribe of people following and the whole thing. So talk about your one-on-one day. Talk about when you came out here, like your thoughts, your takeaway of being out here working with me one-on-one.
I was so totally nervous actually, because I didn't know. It was funny because it's like, hey, I'm going to pick you up this time, and that's it. And I'm like, shit, okay. You remember I had a book bag? I had like all kinds of stuff.
Like, dude, you don't need all that shit. Just something to write notes down.
I had no idea what I needed. I had my laptop. I had everything. But no, it was actually, honestly, I got in your truck and it was chill. Like it was completely, the vibe was really comfortable. I had no idea where we were going or what we were doing, and I didn't even care. Like I knew that you were in control of the day, and I was there to learn and observe and be like soak up as much as I could and to be as open as I could. And I think that's extremely important for me going into that. And just the fact that we were able to break stuff down the way we were by just having conversation and just being honest. You ask the right questions at the right time. Like you're very, very good at that.
Well, that's what's interesting that I really enjoy about coaching is, I've always been a terrible listener. Like if you said to my ex-wife, like, whatever, he doesn't listen worth shit. He just talk. And I do talk. I'm always talking about, it's just my personality. It's who I am. But I realized like I was so full of shit where I was, and I attract these people, right? Like, that you attract people that you're going to be able to work with. This is why I ask so many questions when I interview people to know whether or not I can help them or work with them. Cause it's like, there's some people that are so deeply rooted in their shit that they're never going to leave that. But then there's some people that aren't really sure if they are, but like, it's fascinating what you can find out when you just shut up and ask questions. And what's cool about it is like asking the right questions. Like I watched your brain kind of go, oh shit, like I'm asking a good question. And you're like, wait, maybe I don't believe that answer. Wait, maybe that's not true. Oh, but this is what I'm thinking. Oh shit, that's not right. Wait, it's really over here. And so it's literally like so fucking simple to do. You just have to be in the right frame of mind, have somebody that'll kind of guide you on that journey. And the reason that I love doing it is because I did it. I was the one who was like, this is the way it really is, and this is what I really think, and this is how business should be, and this is how my relationship should be. And then somebody started asking me questions. I'm like, fuck, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not right. Maybe there's more, So what would you say what was your biggest takeaway from one day? Because what a lot of people don't understand is you and I worked together for one day. The beginning of the coaching is one day, and then it's a couple months or however we morph this thing and change it and whatever else. But, it starts with that one day. And I feel like we accomplished a ton and like radically altered some serious shit, but it was so simple. So people think like, oh my God, I got to go home and move and sell my house and get new cars and get rid of my dogs and all this other stuff. But it was like so fucking intense, but yet so simple. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, you're sitting back going, wow, like that was really, really, really hard, but yet so simple to do. Now it's really clear. So what was your biggest takeaway from like the one day of insanity, whatever we want to call it?
What do you call it? One thing that's hard. I would say definitely that this idea or this feeling or the way that I wanted my life to run was actually, number one, not crazy. Well, maybe crazy, but possible. And I was pretty much already living it, and I just didn't acknowledge that. So I was really just not acknowledging what I was already doing, and that I just could make a few shifts and be able to change it into something else. Because it was the questions that were asked, I was thinking small. I wasn't looking at the big picture the way I wanted to look at it. I was still in a different state of mind. And so by realizing, like, here's a glimpse of how everything is for me. Like that, as you're like, this is my life. This is what I'm doing. And I'm like, cool. So I'm on that path to creating that. And it made me just feel even more like aware and sure of my mission and like what I was here to do and what I want to do. And so I don't want to say like a comfort, but kind of like a reassurance that, okay, with this work, by taking that blueprint and that stuff that we worked out, like it was so simple, but I've literally implemented it every single day for a year. And that's where the change comes from. And so, but knowing that, I was just like super rooted, because at the time I was like lost or kind of feeling like I was choking, kind of is what I kept telling him. Like, I feel like I can't breathe. And it just rooted me even more into like why I'm here and what I'm doing was the biggest takeaway from that. I walked away super like more confident, I guess I would say, in it.
And we didn't reinvent the wheel. We didn't like say you had to burn everything to the ground or radically alter who you talked to or when you ate your breakfast or your dinner or whatever. It was just like really simple shit. Like, I think that's something that's really fascinating about coaching. It's something that I really enjoy is I used to have this idea that it had to be this like home run. We had to hit like a grand slam and have this radical like epiphany and revelation for it to have value. But I'm realizing like for me, every day it's just these little 1 degree shifts. And I'm really not that much different from you, and you're not that much different from him or her or whatever. So it's like, wait, if we just scale this thing back and ask the right questions and go down the right path and really open up to truth, and I'm not judging either way what it is. I'm just trying to figure out what the baseline is. Like, we try and build from things where we really don't have that foundation. You know, it's cheesy and cliche, but building on the sandy foundation or stuff. But it's true. Like, if you don't know where the fuck you really are, it's really difficult to determine where you want to go. Like, you can see where you want to go, but if you're way the fuck over here and you're trying to go down this path, like, it won't work. I think that's something that's really cool. And I've watched you do this is one, not try and create radical shifts, but you're like, I'm going to keep doing the work, and I'm going to stay consistent to it. Mm-hmm. And not every day is easy, right? Or is it? Not at all. But how has that transformed your business? I mean, the walking away with that feeling, walking away knowing like, okay, one, I'm not totally crazy. Either I am and we both are, which I think we agree, or perhaps we're the normal ones is what I like to tell everybody. I'm like, dude, perhaps I'm normal and everybody else is totally fucked. But how has that changed, you know, not only your business, but your life, and taking away from that? Like, one, I'm okay. Like, I'm on the right track. I just need to do a couple little things different, tweak a couple little things, like talk about it from a year ago when we worked together to now.
It was definitely a different kind of like powerful feeling, I guess I would say, because you have to believe in what the hell it is that you're doing and building. And while I'd say maybe back then I believed in it, but not every day all the time. And so it's much more of a core belief that like, okay, I share what comes into my head that day. I try not to overthink it. I'm doing it every single day regardless. And I'm just, again, standing super firm in the fact that this is what I need to do. And it's, as long as I'm doing the work, it's going to happen. And that's helped me in such a big way by just continuously sharing, because every time that I share, that's where all my business comes from. People aren't coming to me saying, I need you to fix this one solution to this one little problem here. Instead, they're coming to me saying, how do you help me fix my life? Based off of just me literally sharing my own. And I literally hear your voice in my head all the time on the days that I don't want to share. Like, share it. Did it happen? Share it, Jamie. Share. I'm like, okay.
It's true. I mean, there's so many unique ways that we can deliver messages. And, you know, one of the core things that I'm always teaching and you're teaching is just to share your truth, to tell the truth, you know. But I think what's really interesting is a lot of people don't know what the truth really is. I think they have the idea of what it's supposed to look like or smell like or feel like or be like, kind of like you, like I should be doing this with the business. Or a lot of people that are I'm 35, like technically I should have this house and this many cars and this much in my 401k and the whole thing. And they're like, I don't, or maybe I have more, or maybe I have whatever. And it's like what's right or wrong? There's no right or wrong. It's like you getting pure with you and you opening yourself up to you. But I think what's really interesting in that you said at the beginning, we can talk numbers. I mean, it's easy. Numbers are easy. Facebook marketing is easy. Facebook ads is easy. That's not hard. I mean, it's literally super, super, super simple to learn those things. But what's really difficult, and I think you nailed it, is the mentality. Like understanding the mentality of business, of who you really are, and putting that out there. And that's something that I like to do. That, you know, the gentleman who came yesterday, very successful real estate broker, has 6 employees, six agents working for him, and he does well. But he's like, I'm not super jacked. I'm not super happy. Like, what is it? Like, I want to learn how to take my business to the next level. Well, we spent 90% of the time on the personal shit. And now all of a sudden he's like, I don't even want to talk about business. I want to go home and like do this shit. He literally left yesterday. Like, I know that I have business shit to do, but I'm like so pumped to do this, and this. Cause now I see like what I'm not currently doing, but really what I want to be doing and where the dividend comes. And I think that's what's fun as a coach, like what you're talking about, when you take on a client and they say, well, Jamie, I want this. And you're like, okay, cool. You ask them a couple questions and then what do you find out?
They want something else, usually.
Exactly. It's exactly what it boils down to. You know what I mean? But that's the cool part for me about coaching and hiring a coach is you get a different set of eyeballs and somebody that's been through, you know, the shit that you might be going through. Like you having gone through that lull in business, like I'm doing good, but I want to be doing this. And I don't really know if I identify with this, but I want to identify with that. How has that helped you, like as a coach, as a consultant, having worked with a coach and a consultant?
I would say definitely being able to be empathetic in a way of like the process and just explaining, like it doesn't happen overnight, first of all. And if you think that it's going to, you're crazy. And being able to explain examples. So I always give stories. I tell a lot of stories to help people resonate more. And so being able to use my own example, you know, of what I went through and the process I went through and that it sucked. And I was able to do this and this and this. And this was the result, and having the faith of, you know, that it's going to work and doing the stuff and paying attention and the perspective shifts. Like I can give examples of a conversation you and I have, which I do all the time, honestly. Well, like I had this situation and Sean was like, Jamie, what are you thinking? And flipped my way of looking at it. And then I explain what then happened after that. And I'm able to use that as an example. And when I have a client one-on-one and they're listening to me say that, it's just that much more impactful because then they believe me because they're like, she did this. So if she did this, I can do this.
Yeah.
So it helps a ton for sure.
Has hiring a coach made you more money?
Absolutely.
What would you say to people right now that are like, well, I don't know, it's expensive? What would you say?
Everything.
I know that you say this all the time, but like to my little tribe and my little audience here who's on this page, like contemplating, I don't know, Sean's kind of an asshole. He says, don't be an asshole, which by the way, these are some of our new shirts. You like these?
I love it. That's awesome.
Freaking awesome. So I can't wait. This is the very first one. I printed this myself. But like somebody that's watching this, like on the fence, like, okay, cool. Sounds great. Jamie did this, whatever. It's expensive. I mean, you know, there's obviously a cost to staying where you are, but what would you say to people about not just working with me, but just hiring a coach in general?
You're never going to have the extra money laying around, first of all. So that's one thing that's funny. I don't have the money. Okay. I've never had the money one time I've hired a coach at that exact time, and you never will. And how much money you're leaving on the table by not. Looking back, thinking about it, how much I just kind of sat there and tried to figure it out myself and spent umpteen hours doing things that I could have been actually producing in a much more constructive fashion. I'm like, man, I wasted so many hours. And when you think about it in a dollar standpoint, how much money could you have been making during that time frame when you could have just had somebody in your corner helping you clear the shit?
There's a cost to staying stuck. So few people understand this. There's a cost to staying stuck. And when you stay stuck, when you stay where you are and you're working 20-hour days and you're grinding along and it's somehow going to magically shift, but then home life's deteriorating and then now you inject that negative energy and then it makes work life even harder and then parenting life harder and then health harder and everything else. Like there's a cost to staying stuck. I mean, you're no different than me and anybody else. When you hire a coach, it's like, okay, that's a big chunk. That's a commitment. But when you look at it from exactly what you're saying, like, what's the cost of staying where you are? And when you start when you actually can monetize it, because people don't think that way. It's crazy how people don't think that way. I'm like, so home life's really fucked. you're dealing with all of this drama and whatever. You're a salesman and you're thinking about all the drama like 50% of your day. So where did those 50% of the sales go? How much does that represent? $200, $300, $500,000 a year in sales for a 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 investment. Like if you start doing the math of your time and staying stuck, it's amazing. I didn't ever think this way. I just looked at like coaching is like, it's this extra thing. Like, can you just do it? But the people that I know, me now, you now, like it's like a budget item. It's like, I've spent this much money as part of my business, my life, my everything, every single month to have the coach, to have the guys, because it just makes me so much more money.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm glad you mentioned the other parts of life, because when you and I, because you do obviously help people with their whole life, whatever their problem is, but you and I had a solid conversation where like, while you're here, we're just going to focus on the business. And we did. We totally focused on the business. But the things that I implement and I've implemented in the business, it implements everywhere. So, I mean, talk about like the full circle effect. The authenticity that you have to have, or that I have to have in my business, I cannot have everywhere else. It just doesn't feel right. So then you have this just truth everywhere. You're communicating on a whole nother level with everyone because you're doing it in your business. Like my consistency with my health has been like I'm just turned 30, best health like of my entire life. I'm in the best shape of my life. And I would always fluctuate back and forth. I didn't think it was important. But everything that I put into play and like in the business, it just became my normal for everything else. So the whole rest of the life shifted too. And there isn't the stress and all the time. Obviously we have moments, but now I know how to deal with them too. I go back to the basics. I go back to the simple stuff, and it like flattens itself back out. I'm like, oh, okay.
So there's a saying, I think I've heard this maybe once or twice. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yep.
So what you're saying is that your business actually is directly correlated to your health.
Yes.
Fascinating thing. It's all so separate, right? So your relationship actually is directly correlated to your bank account.
Yes.
Fascinating. Jamie, you're awesome. Anything else you want to share with the world, wherever we end up putting these videos and whatever we end up doing with them? Anything else you want to talk about with coaching, or any other suggestions or pointers any nuggets that you want to drop with everybody?
Well, I would definitely say that there's a difference between saying that you need a coach and actually being coachable. So being like cool and saying, oh, I have a coach is great and everything like that. But you actually need to understand that it stings a little sometimes. You have to be prepared for that. You cannot take it too personally, but you need to be able to be honest and open up and be ready for what you're asking for. You go to a coach and you say you want change, you better be ready for some damn change, basically. And that's the thing I think most people don't think about. They're like, oh, I'm going to hire a coach. And then they don't even look at the next step, or just be ready to be open otherwise.
And you stand over in the corner, you're like, wait, I don't want to talk about that. Like, that's the personal stuff. I'm just here to make more money. They're like, oh, you are? Well, let's talk about the shit that's actually holding you back from making more money.
Yeah.
Girl, you're awesome. I'm proud of you. You're kicking ass. You're taking names. My friends, if you have structural issues, not like in your house, but like your business needs to get on track, on course, like managed, Jamie's your girl. She does very, very well with it. So we'll put your info here on how to connect.
Thank you.
But you're awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate everything.
No trouble. You're welcome. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Okay. See ya.
Yeah.